and welcome back to Retrospect My Fantasy. Today, we're working on our game design for the Al-Qadim World Guide. Hey, Big Daddy, how you doing? So, got music going, got everything prepared. Just got a couple of things to go over first before we actually jump in. Number one, I would like to apologize for missing yesterday's stream because of a staff meeting that went way too long. I'm doing good, thank you. Have you ever been in a class or a staff meeting and everything seems perfectly upfront and makes perfect sense to you, but for some reason everyone else in the room just doesn't get it? That's what happened. So it went long because there was a million questions asked, and unfortunately that meant that I had to cancel the stream. But we're here today, so everything's good. Got a few other things to go over. The first of these newer things is that we have a Discord. So if you are not already a member of our Discord, please take that link and join it. There's a bunch of chat rooms, and there's a bunch of games communications rooms, as well as just a general voice. Enjoy this show. So please join us over there. It's a lot of fun. And I try to respond to everything that is posted. So assuming that I have something to contribute, of course. Number two is that we are partnered with Humble. And right now is a great time to go over and check out Humble because they're having a sale on the entire Far Cry series, as far as the links that they have. So go check it out, especially if you are interested. I mean, that is a series that we will be taking a look at in our Look Back show in the near future, hopefully, now that I actually have it all. So that's announcement number two. And number three is that we have a Patreon. And Patreon is there. The reason I started a Patreon is so that those who do not wish to spend the time in the bit mines or don't have the means to subscribe at $5 a month, but don't want to have the inconvenience of having to use the tip jar every time they want to donate money to our channel. That's why I created Patreon. It gives you that reoccurring what's the word I'm looking for? It gives you the assurance of that reoccurrence so that you don't have to remember each and every time. And you can set any whole dollar amount and it will help. Every dollar, every penny that we get helps. Right now we're working towards a new computer since we improved our lighting a little bit. After the new computer, it will be an audio mixer. That way we can actually get into some more high-end audio production and make sure that our stream sounds as good as it possibly can. So those are the next big things that we're going to get. And one last thing before we jump in to the actual world guide here is that all the music provided I downloaded from the Free Music Archive. It's royalty free. I've created a new window that's going to show the playlist as soon as I switch over at all times. So no matter what other stuff I'm messing around with, that way you can see the artist and the track name. That way we're giving due credit to the artist that created these musics. So let us jump on over and start working back on that world guide. So last week when we did this, we completed all the initial editing for this. And that's a lot. There's a lot to go through for this world guide. Today's going to be a fun one because today we are going to be going through all the books and looking for artwork that we want to use So, let us... And the artwork is... It can be anything from... Like, I know there's some things that I want to use from the gods section. I mean, it could be anything, like these little banners here. Which... I mean, I'm not going to copy them from here. I'm going to... If we find a piece of artwork that we really like, I'm going to open it up in Photoshop, and then we'll clip that art out and save it for something. But mainly what we're doing is we're just looking for good art today. Art that we want to use. Like, I will probably not use this map because it's not quite detailed enough. Actually, I might use this map. Yeah, we'll go ahead and pick that map. So then we go into Photoshop. And we are going to... Uh-oh. It's a little clue into some of the things that I've been working on the side. So we need to go to... No, not the compendium. Where is... Role-playing books. D&D 2nd edition, Al-Qadim, Arabian Adventure, and we are looking right now for page 14. I'm just gonna try and collect all the pages in one go, if possible. You. At least from each source. Once we switch over to a different book, then we'll go ahead and switch. Ooh, I kind of like that. Yeah, I like that image. So page 14, page 20. Ooh. These full color, like, painting spreads are always wonderful, and I always want to use them. And I'm sure we can find a spot for it, too. I mean, even if we don't use it in this particular book, once we switch over to doing, like, the player's guide or something like that, I'm sure we can find a good use for it. Maybe. Actually, these little sidebar graphics, I might use those for the player's guide because, like, I can use this for, like, Corsair or something like that, and it would fit perfectly. Actually, she's a Corsair. That's a hardcore Corsair right there. Different types of warriors. I'm guessing this person is a Mamluk because they have the tattoos on their face, but it's kind of hard to tell. They could also be some sort of genie. Oh yeah, no, this image is definitely getting in there. Where's that one? Are you kidding me? That picture is awesome. Got a two-headed lion. We got some sort of ogre, or maybe it's a Dao. Although his skin's not very dark, so it could just be a genie of some sort. Primo picture. Those are some interesting looking fellows. Yeah, I think those little sidebar images are gonna be great for classes. And even some of these little pictures, if we find one that's like choice good, dates, some sort of bird on a bed of rice. I'm not sure what that is, but that pot is for coffee. And that, just because he drew his knife does not necessarily mean he's going to attack him. I've always been very partial to that picture in particular. I kind of want to know the story behind the direction of that image, because it's a beautifully done piece. An idol priest. And then some other people. The heck is going on in this image? So there's a guy. There's one hand. Here's his feet. Is he like spinning around? Is he like a whirling dervish or something? Oh, the classes. Oh, this is a great image. We are definitely... Where is that? Page 75? 76 in this version? Yeah, we're definitely snagging that. That's real good. Camels! Dromedaries! Oh, God. The heat penalty. It's a very interesting... I think that's supposed to be a rock? I don't know. Like, I want to use these these full color paintings, but I don't know about this one. Like, the proportions on the bird are all weird, and I don't know. Although it is some pretty classy, like classic D&D stylings. Because if you look at a lot of early D&D artwork, you'll essentially find like 3 different things going on. You'll find like the super like well done, like sort of hyper realistic things like this, or even that the guy drawing his knife. And then you'll see like the super stylized, like semi-action scenes like this. I think I want that one. And then you'll find like ones that clearly someone's trying something, like they're trying to get something across, but for whatever across, but for some reason it just doesn't quite get there. So I kind of like this image, except for one thing. That's clearly a dragon, and there are no dragons in Al-Qadim. That's one of the things that sets it apart from the other D&D settings. Ooh. Ooh, I like that. So that's going to be 108. That's a neat picture, but I don't think that works in this book. Probably not, but also a good image. A lot of these smaller images I think are great pieces of art that we will definitely use, but not in the World Guide. Wind magic. That is straight up just another book's cover. This image of the genie coming out of the lamp. Another book, another box set's cover. I did this for a reason. Believe me. Ooh. Ooh, that is a good image of a Shire drawing a genie into a lamp. Or some sort of prism. Doesn't necessarily have to be a lamp. Wow, this spells section's kind of big. An Ifrit and honestly, no, I don't know. That's hard to tell. Oh no, it's a Marid and a genie, or yeah, and a djinn toying with people's lives. Which is kind of a classic tale by Shahrazad. Is two genies that keep messing with people's lives just for their own amusement. Alright, so that is the first book. And we got... How many? How many pages did we take? One... Oh, this is going to take a little bit. I want to get about 2 dozen, maybe even 3 dozen, all said and done. And then we can kind of pick and choose and see which ones we actually... what images we actually want to use and where. Now there's a couple of images that I pretty much have to use at certain points. And that is the... Once we get to the images that are the gods' symbols, I'm gonna have to snag those. It has to happen. Squids, avocados, potatoes, peaches, oven fired. Personally, that entirely sounds amazing, except for the squid. I'm not a big fan of squid, but the rest of that, I'm down. When's dinner? Alright, so now we will go to one of the box sets. We're going to go for the first box set, the big box set, Land of Fate. Oh, and then... and see if there's any images that, like, really stand out. It is doing very well. How are you doing, Kasan? I love this image. This image in particular I love. I wonder how easy it will be to Photoshop out the TSR and the Advanced Dungeons & Dragons 2nd Edition logo and try and maintain... I don't think I'm that skilled. Because there's... I mean, this one I could probably do. I guess I could just chop it off. That's doable. We're going to start with page 1. We're going to start with the cover and see if we can manipulate that image into being usable for us. Yeah, I mean, we can make something just very similar to this without the border and the Adventurer's Guide to Zakara. Like, we'll keep the Al-Qadim Land of Fate and keep all the image down to about... I'm pointing at it with my hand when I have a cursor on the screen. All the way up until about here-ish. We'll try and keep the artist credit in. But what do you wonder? Ooh, look at this stealthy person. They're gonna mess someone up. Well, they're gonna hope to mess someone up anyway. No, no worries. No need to apologize. An interesting little image about how I think we'll snag that. What's the page before it? So I think that's this one. I wish there was an easier way than having to scroll through the whole thing just to find... Is there an easier way? Kind of. So we got some bowls. Got some... people fighting some nondescript things. Got a person with a bunch of reeds, I think? A couple of hawks. I like that. I like this image. What is this? Page 36? That's going to be... $38. Yeah, I like that one. We got here. We got someone with a well. Yeah, that'll work. So that's that one. I think we're going to get a lot from this book. Oop, you can go away. For now. A guy on a horse with a straight sword. Interesting. I wonder what his story is. Let's see here. Oh, the gods and faith pages. Where's the images that have... There they are. All right, so page 48. So these two images, 1551, over in the Photoshop side of things. That way we can get all the major named gods images so that when we actually are making the gods page, we can slap the image that is associated with that god right next to them. Imagine that. It's one of the big criticisms that I have of this game, or this system. This book. Words. Words are tough, man. Ooh, do we want the... You know, I think we do want that. The elephant. The overgrown elephant statue. God statue. Some guys going on a crusade of sorts. What's the sidebar? Oh, just explaining how to read the city's stuff. You know, that could be useful. Yeah, you know what? We'll snag that. Where's that sidebar? There's that sidebar. That could be... Yeah, that could be very useful. If someone's never read a book like this before, I mean... I hope that they would understand when it says population, that this is the population of the city on average. Okay, no, I like that one. Yeah, I think we're going to get a lot from this book. What do we got here? Some guys at sea. Looks like a Mamluk because of the tattoo, but I could be wrong. Oh, so this image is awesome. In the capital of Al-Qadim, there is a Dao, an Earth Genie, whose sole purpose is to help ships that have wrecked on rocks near the city, and to work as kind of a tug. So like if a ship is becalmed like just outside the city, he'll trudge out there and drag it into port, or if something needs like a little bit more oomph than like the wind right in the bay can give it, he'll help physically just like shove it along. It's a rather interesting and horrible thing because he's enslaved to do it. He has to do it. He has no choice. There's... Oh, yeah. This image. This very disturbing image of a genie, specifically a Marid, a water genie, capturing humans in genie prisons. They will live like that forever. Actually, not forever. Until they die, they will live like this, trapped in these little balls at the bottom of the ocean. I like this image because it has like what is clearly a female warrior depicted. But the rest of the image is kind of incomprehensible about as to like what's going on. I think she's on a tower or maybe just a balcony overlooking a bay, maybe? Question mark? It's hard to tell. We might take that. What page are we on? 89, so that'd be around 91 in here. The pearl diving sidebar. That I don't see. What other pages are near? Are there any big images nearby? Oh, that one, yeah. So, oh, right here. The dangers that pearl divers actually have to face. Yeah, I like that. Can put those right next to each other. Maybe. I don't know about that image. It's not great. I like that though. That is a very big mosque. And I don't know what that is. I'm assuming it's an instrument because it's got strings and it's got like magical something coming off of it. But I don't know. Fighting off an ogre. Yeah, we probably won't use that for this book. But it's a good image to have around. Or maybe that was just a Cyclops, not an ogre. Oh shoot, did we ever take any of these things? Any of the legends? Crap, I don't think we did. Those are kind of like neat little stories that people came up, that the writers came up with. Yeah, so the lizard that are seldom seen in the Land of Fate. So yeah, dragons, not really a thing in Zakura unless you go high into the mountains. Some very basic Arabic. Assalamu alaikum. Wa alaikum assalam. God, this is explaining how to read a map. This is the legend for the map. That's how terrible that is. Alright, so Fortunes and Fates is so... In each box set for 2nd edition D&D, you would have the book for the DM, for the Game Master, or Dungeon Master, and then you would have just kind of a general book, which the players could look at, the DM could look at. It might have monsters, it might have maps. It just had a bunch of random stuff, seemingly. But this second part, right here, Fortunes and Fates, is actually an adventure of sorts. It includes a whole bunch of just like general stuff that a dungeon master would need to run a game in this world. It's not, I don't think it actually has a straight up just adventure, but what it does have is a lot of stuff that a dungeon master would need to run a generic adventure in this world. Not like have anything written, just like sit down, open this up, and the dungeon master can read this section, this much smaller book, and have everything he needs. Insufficient data for... Alright, well, let's drop all these images and load up again and see what new hell has wrought us. Also, I don't need that. And I know we got way more stuff from this book. Oh, we just lost that whole page all of a sudden. Come on, Photoshop, it's not that hard. And I'm barely using any CPU usage. What do you mean? Don't have enough memory, my butt. Alright, so where are we? 148. Alright, we're going to try loading up that PDF again. We're on 148. Insufficient data for the image. I wonder if the person that made this did not encode it correctly and we lost an image because of it. That would be very annoying. Especially if it turns out to be like a really good image. Crap, there's a lot of good information in this. I'm gonna have to go through this book and see really shortly and see how much of it goes into the world guide and how much of it we can save for like the player's guide. I like this image. What page is this? $160? Yep. There we go. We'll start there. Oh no, this is definitely... Ooh. I think we're going to have to add an additional book to our list. So we were going to do the world guide, the player's guide, and then an adventure. I think we might have to add a Dungeon Master's Guide to Al Qadim. Because there's a lot, like, the secrets of the cities is something you don't want the players to have. But you want the players to be able to look at the world guide without having too much spoiled for them. And this is the perfect image for that section. I'm probably, when I do that, this section, I'm probably going to lift it just as it is. Ah, yes, the inhabitants of the City of Spires assume that their city has always been on the surface. In reality, the great towers dominating the surface were built by an undersea race, Locatha, long before humans came to this part of the world, when the land was underwater. What is translated is a war with those above could be explained as the war between the air and the water, as seen by the waterborne race. The Locatha fought with some of their air-breathing race, and in the course of the battle, the air-breathers summoned a great elemental power. The entity raised the Locatha civilization to the surface, creating the Island of Disaster. The island is littered with destroyed towers, but there are some complete outposts still on Sahu to the south. The Locatha survived and retreated to the depths between Tihi and Afiel, where the civilization flourishes beyond the sight of men. See how awesome that sounds and is, but you can't let players know. Nope. Magical gear that is more specific to Al Qadim than just your general magical BS. God, are we only getting one image from this section of the book? Genie prisons. Genie prisons are simultaneously an awesome thing to find if occupied, and you have someone of the magical talent capable of breaking them open. But if you find an empty one and you just start carrying that stuff around, I do not want to be near you when you encounter a genie with an empty genie prison in your possession. An intact empty genie prison in your possession. Man, they will mess you up. Oh, Mareed. Giants. Okay, so giants. That's what that was. Oh, no, that was an ogre. Okay. With those weird giant bat, like giant ear, almost like bat wing sized ears. Rocks. Giant birds. Like giant eagles. Yak men. Oh. So yak men are the equivalent of minotaurs. They're exactly as they sound. They're men who are also yaks. Except every yak man has the ability to summon a Dao to fight for him, should he choose to. He'd just be like, you know, I don't really feel like fighting today. Hey, you, whatever your name is, go beat that guy up for me. Some city maps. Oh, not just city. A particular city. The capital. This is what... Yeah, so... Caravanserai are... trading posts, essentially. That's like the best way to think about them. Houses, large houses, courtyard, houses with courtyards. Oh god, these weird ass pages. Whose sole purpose is to kind of show off fashion. Like, this is how the world looks. Like, you're gonna see this guy and this woman and that guy just around, and it's not gonna be weird. I mean, it'll be weird when the DM describes it to you, because you're gonna be thinking, what the hell? But at the same time, it won't be weird. Like, your characters will be thinking, oh, it's Tuesday. There's Yosef Altair doing his balancing act on the fountain today, trying to make money. I'm thinking about putting this multi-piece map together as a separate project. And actually, why would I do that? That already exists. You can just look that map up. Somebody's done that. That would be a major waste of my time. Alright, so the City of Delights book. Let's see if there's anything in this book that we really want. Image-wise. Because I know that there are some people that are going to look at that front page image and immediately go, that's something I want. A young, attractive woman standing on a balcony. Ah, hey, look, we already got this image from earlier. And that image was also in the base book. Wait. Is this image of a thief with all of his loot on a flying carpet who's about to pounce on this weapons merchant? Because if so, that guy is awesome. I'm all for that guy. This book is essentially an adventure guide to for the capital. That's essentially what it is. Like, if you're gonna run an adventure solely in the capital, this is aside from the base book, all you would need is this. You wouldn't even need the Land of Fate. Because this entire book is going to center around the city of Haziz, the capital. And so all you need to know is everything that's in this book. Which is going to be a lot about like particular individuals for certain sections. Like the bazaar, or it's going to detail a lot of shops and individuals who run certain things. It's an interesting image. I'm assuming this woman is using some sort of scrying ball to look at this ship, and that guy's really surprised. Like, maybe she's scrying the future for him, or I don't know. That was a little tough to parse. Or whether she's using it as a seeing stone to see, like, his son at sea, or the Grand Bazaar. And this is the Great Mosque and the Sultan's house, the palace. That's a good image. Where are we at? Page 62 for this book. City of Delights. We're down here-ish. Here? Maybe? Oh, no, this one's right on. Okay. Oh, right, because I'm going by this and not the page number. Mosque of Kor. So, in the capital, each of the major gods has their own mosque. And then there's one grand mosque that is essentially made of gold. It's called the Golden Mosque, that has a shrine for each of the gods that has representation in Zakhara. Even the gods that aren't really worshipped widely anymore, or are kind of like outside world gods, like outside of Zakhara, like every god that they know about has a small shrine in the Golden Mosque. And then there is a large dome placed over this tiny house nearby. And this is the House of the Lawgiver, which is the first person to receive essentially the title of Lawgiver and become the first sultan by telling stories that are parables that mean things. And this was actually like divine visions given to them. It's simultaneously super awesome, of like an origin story for like why they do certain things, and really dumb. Like, because of course that house would be a relic, right? But at the same time, I'm surprised someone 1,000 years ago, 500 years ago, however long ago, didn't knock down that house and build the palace right on top of it. The heck is going on there? Some of these images, I don't know, man. A Mareed fountain. Oh god, we're still only on stuff that's in the palace. Holy crap, that last section is all stuff in the palace. Okay, more DM stuff for... Honestly, most of this book is just... Or most of this entire thing is just DM stuff anyway. I don't know why there's a big separation. I guess it's... One thing is stuff for... Stuff that the players are allowed to know, and the other is stuff that the players aren't allowed to know. Oh, so that actually brings up a good point. A lot of people who play Dungeons & Dragons for the first time think that D&D is the players versus the Dungeon Master, which is patently not true. And the reason they think that is because the Dungeon Master is running the villains and the antagonists and is setting challenges up for them and making them go through these death trap mazes. So it feels like the Dungeon Master is against the players because he's setting up all the challenges, right? Well, that is true. He is setting up all the challenges, but the point of D&D is that everyone at the table, A, has fun, and B, is telling a story. And the most important thing about stories is that the characters within the story, the protagonists, whether they be anti-heroes or heroes, or just straight villains, have challenges that they overcome. Because if they don't have any challenges, or if they don't have a call to action, then they'll just sit at home and live their lives as they always have. But a lot of these early books are set up in such a way that it reinforces the two camps thing. When really the information that they're giving to the GM is honestly a lot of random BS that the GM really doesn't need to know to run an adventure. But if he does know it, you know, he might be able to incorporate some of these things and make a more rich, more intriguing narrative, because he'll be able to throw in things like that Tanya, who's in the harem, actually no, that's a bad example. That we're let's see here, that so say the characters are invited to a dinner at the palace for whatever reason. Maybe they completed some great task, or maybe they're about to be given a great task. So they're sitting there having dinner when this heavily overweight older man in his 50s comes barging in. He just smells of seaweed and rank air, and he's weather beaten. Why? Because he's the Admiral of the Royal Navy. They don't need to know that he's the Admiral of the Royal Navy. All they need to know is this guy who looks important just comes in as if he owns the place, and he's heavily overweight, in his 50s, and always wears ceremonial battle armor encrusted with gold buckles and heavily polished metals. Ranking of stinking of seaweed and sweat. And he's a bombastic buffoon with no tact. Like that kind of, like, you already know what this guy looks like. We don't have an image of him, but you already know what this guy looks like. And by having those kinds of details that the GM can explain to the characters, their mind's eye will produce everything else that's needed. What the hell happened here? Oh, this guy looks trustworthy. I'm definitely taking that picture. 152? Are you kidding me? That guy looks sketchy as all hell. Yeah, and we're taking that one too. Even if we never apply them to any of these characters, we're definitely taking some of these images because they're too awesome not to take. Oh. Okay. I don't really understand what's going on here. There's appears to be like a gnome or maybe a halfling about to cut off the head of a cobra that's coming out of a basket. Meanwhile, a Dao and a Shire, maybe, are hanging out over in the corner just minding their own business. This must be this guy's horse, and these two guys must be very concerned for him, based on the looks of their faces and how he's talking to the horse. Which I bet that horse has been polymorphed into a horse. Oh, characters from another world. Oh, God. Okay, so let's see here. What do we have? We have a wizardy motherfucker. Like, that is probably the most wizardy wizard that has ever wizarded. Probably a barbarian, a fighter, probably a rogue, and then a dwarf. Actually, no. That's an elf and a dwarf. So that might be a spell sword, and then a dwarf, which is a particularly hardy fighter, usually. Oh, boy. And they did something dumb and are now going to get stabbed by a bunch of guards. Or maybe they'll kill a bunch of guards. We'll see. Actually, we won't see because I don't play that game. I don't take characters from the regular Forgotten Realms and bring them in as player characters. I will bring them in as NPCs. Specifically, if the characters are like trying to build an army, I'll let them recruit northerners. Ooh, a barber? Hell yeah. Where is this? 186. Another map of the city. Interesting. New magic. New spells, huh? Oh, only a few, I guess. A winged cat. Yeah. A crypt servant. A zombie of sorts. Although they are pretty rare, and they're either found alone or as staff for something, which would mean like they're guarding a tomb or something like that. They're immune to, they have spell immunities and are immune to piercing weapons. Thank you, 2nd edition, for making certain characters immediately unplayable. Al-Jahar, huh? Also known as Dazzlers, usually appear as beautiful humanoids. Their angelic beauty disguises a terrible secret, for Al-Jahar are evil and manipulative. The creature's true form, which provides their name, is that of a genderless winged humanoid comprised of sparkling white motes and waves of almost invisible desert heat. Dazzles hide among the population of cities, generating and feeding upon the base emotions of intelligent creatures. Gotcha. A genie is now an administrator. Could you imagine how boring that job would be with a significant amount of power, or being like a harem guard? Let's see. There's a civilized ogre. God, some of the creatures are so weird. Like this. Passari Nimel. Some people call them mants. Are horrid, tool-using insectoid predators. They appear to be very large black ants with human heads. That is nightmares. Jesus. Ah, yes, a singing tree. It lulls you to sleep. A siren, yeah, of course. Talking birds. I don't know why that's considered a monster, but okay. A Tatala. Which are urban creatures, apparently. You'll find that in cities. Oh god, Vargoyles. Elemental vermins. These are just like the rats of the different elemental planes. And then a big-ass map of just the city. Ooh. That's an interesting image. Someone picking their groceries up. They smashed a bottle and they dropped their stuff. That is a very large man. I believe that is supposed to be His Royal Highness with a Mamluk bodyguard and a Marid administrator. If you're wondering what this sheet is, it is a hex grid. It's actually like overhead projector style see-through, and you can place it and use the small hex grids for the overall city map, so the characters can say where they're going, and then you can use the large hex grids for like what are the large hex grids for? Like horseback or camel or mounts, for like mounts on the map. That way you can determine where people are and where they are going. Ooh. A pretty granular map of the palace. I should get these other maps printed up. I've got a couple of maps printed up, but I should get these other ones done too. Alright, so that's it for that book. Only got a few images, but they were good. Very, very good. So what book is next? Golden Voyages, which is a book about exactly as it sounds. Forgot about this view for that entire last book. Golden Voyages. Okay. That's an interesting front page, especially since she looks not at all like she belongs on Al-Qadim. I've actually never really ran a sea adventure. I have one big moment where the characters were at sea. Ooh, what's going on here? A wizard or maybe a genie is flying and knocking a guy off of a rock. With lightning, I think. That's what I mean about some of the art sometimes. Sometimes it's hard to parse what's going on. Alright, so here we got a guy with a couple of scimitars. Oh, this is just an adventure, isn't it? So some of this artwork really isn't going to work outside of this book because it's all an adventure. Yeah, so each section is a portion of the world map, and it explained specifically like a small area, and then it'll give you like these are the monsters that frequent that part of the world, and here's kind of the adventures and some of the major players in the area. And oh, that guy's totally gonna get strangled to death by a snake. I don't think we're gonna get much out of the rest of these books, but we'll still see. You never know. Wait, is this my Corsair picture? Oh, hell yes, this is. It's important to note why, though. So first off, go to page 97. There is an Al-Qadim video game. It's a pretty good game, but it's actually hard to find. It's called Genie's Curse. One of the opening sequences of Genie's Curse is the protagonist, can't remember, yeah, I think you get to choose your own name, walks downstairs to go to a wedding, and his mother says, "Stop. You need to put on a shirt to go to this wedding." And the character proclaims, "No, I do not, mother, for I am a Corsair, wild and free." So Corsairs don't wear shirts. That is just a fact now. Corsairs don't wear shirts because they are wild and free. This map is atrocious. But is very, very flavorful. Ooh. Here is a better map. This is what an actual like nautical map would look like at the time. You would have your major points, and then all the and then every route that has been mapped in straight lines from one point to another. Yeah, this is just a big adventure guide. This is kind of interesting to look through, though. And heck, at the very least, we got ourselves a Corsair image. The Sartani. Giant crabs. Ogrima, which are a different type of ogre. Crustacean people? Interesting. Interesting. Very interesting. It's a 3-page spread image? Oh god, yes. If I hadn't packed this away, I would have pulled it out and... Oh! This is a DM screen. So, I'm sure you've seen the classic image of Dungeons & Dragons, where the dungeon has this multi-page thing in front of him, and that has some sort of art on one side, and then on his side, it has a bunch of tables that he can quick reference stuff. I own, by the way, all the box sets. I haven't opened most of them, because I want them to be in good shape. Interesting. So what info do I have on there? Spell levels for Shires. And their DC to go and get it. In each column, the first number applies to a general knowledge spell. The third number applies to priest spells, and wizard spells are not listed. In each column, the first number applies to general spells, and the third number applies to priest spells and wizard spells not listed in Appendix A. Okay. And then column... What's column 2 then? If column 1 is general spells and column 3 is priests, are those special? Oh, I bet those are specialty wizard spells. Interesting. Okay. Oh, the middle number. Okay, so if it's not a general knowledge spell or a priest spell, the middle number is what you would use as your DC. Interesting. So we ended the last campaign around level 6. So yeah, he could get up to level 6 spells. Jesus. God damn, Shires are powerful. Holy crap. Combat modifiers, standard modifiers for initiative, cover and concealment chances. Oh, Thaco. So, a level 2 warrior. So as you notice, warriors at every level. This is without any like specialties or anything magical or anything like that. Just on their own. If a warrior just picks up any random weapon, he has a pretty significant bonus to hit over the other classes, with priests having the second best chance to hit. In 2nd edition, anyway. Thaco is a mess. If you can avoid playing any game that uses the Thaco system, please do. You will save yourself a million years of trying to explain it to people. Weapon damages, factor, speed factor. Oh god, speed factor. I don't even remember how to use speed factor. I just remember it was also a nightmare. And then our map. Okay, well at least we got our Corsair picture. God, how many images do we have? So far, we've pulled a lot of images. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30. We've pulled 30 images so far? That's pretty good. That's pretty damn good. I'm sorry. Is there something that I can assist you with in that regard? So now we go to Assassin Mountain, which is an awesome name for a book. Okay. Ooh, look. You can even see there's like a weird kind of skull shape back there. And this woman looks like she's going to cut her head off with that falcon. The Holy Slayer source book. Okay. So Holy Slayers in 2nd edition are a holy version of an assassin, specifically the rogue, D&D rogue assassin path, but with holy powers. I personally believe it should be a paladin with assassin skill sets, because essentially what you're taking is a holy warrior, a paladin, and making them, like, as opposed to walking around with big heavy armor and a giant sword and shield, you're giving them like daggers and short swords and less armor and more stealth. So it seems to me like it's more of a kit, a skill set and kit that goes onto a paladin, as opposed to magical powers onto rogues, which don't get magical powers normally. Interesting. So some people are attacking a parade? This, by the way, is just another adventure. All the rest of the books we're going to be looking at are adventures. Yeah, so that's... Oh, God. Is this a mission? I mean, obviously this isn't an adventure, but I mean, like, do the characters have to try and plan an assassination on the Vizier? This could be really... I might need to read this one, because that could be a really interesting adventure to run. Okay, so this guy... This orc or ogre is clearly a wizard of some sort, and he's trying to figure out the cosmology of the universe. And this is his fighter buddy, who is bored and just wants to go drink and punch someone. A serpentine dagger, because of course there's a serpentine dagger. Aww. I kind of want to take this image, except the shadowing on their bodies is not great. What's going on here? Oh, is that a gibbering mouther? Because if so, they're screwed. A gibbering mouther is like something out of the Cthulhu mythos that is nothing but mouths and eyes. It's like a blob or an ooze made up of mouths and eyes. Most of the imagery does not do the concept justice of how horrifying they're supposed to be. A giant cobra, okay. Was that a serpapard? A serpapard is kind of like a leopard snake. They're actual mythology for the region. They mostly come out of like actually like Egypt, but Egypt is considered part of the Middle Eastern mythology, so. Someone's gonna shoot a magical rock. I don't know why you would piss off a rock like that, but to each their own, I guess. Ooh, an expanded version of our Corsair image on page 80. We'll take that. We might be able to work with it. It's going to be a larger picture. Okay, we had a bigger version of that. That looks like a rock taking off with a yak. Maybe that's supposed to be a camel? It's hard to tell. So a palace with, you know, cobras that are just kind of around. That is either a Dao that people are worshipping or it's just a statue. Giant cobra. Nice. A genie whose entire job is just to try and trick you. And then another genie whose entire job is to bind you magically to an oath. Oh, that is a gibbering mouther. Okay. Yeah, that's not pleasant. I'm gonna see if I can find an actual better image for a gibbering mouther. Oh god, this is gonna make noise. No. So this is about the best image of a gibbering mouther that I've ever seen. In terms of like how horrifyingly unnatural these things are supposed to be. They're quite horrifying and should cause actual like. So I don't recommend in most gaming systems that you use sanity or cause sanity checks or anything like that. But gibbering mouthers are one of those things that is so horrifying. I think it's worth it. I think it's legit worth it. Oh, that is definitely a Dao. At first, I was going to say that it was a drow, a dark elf, but no, no pointy ears, no white hair. That's definitely a Dao. Jet black skin, yeah. And that's an Ifrit of some kind, of some variety. You can tell because of the red skin. One of these is a Shire, probably this guy, because that's who the Jan is hanging off of, and then some priests, I guess. Yeah, some pet leopards. That's kind of neat. Some sort of planning, some variety. Oh. These guys are totally getting screwed over by this waiter. I guarantee it. Interesting. Well, we didn't get a whole lot of it out of Assassin Mountain. Well, Kassan, I'm not going to force you to say anything. If you want advice, you know I freely give it. or if you just, or if you don't want to say it in chat where everyone could see, there's always the Discord channel. You can send me DMs on Discord or Twitter. I am fully open to communicate if you just want advice or just want to vent or anything like that. So don't worry about it. If you want to chat, there's many avenues to do that with. Yep, that was my background. Major Kisaragi. So that is a squid. It's clearly a squid. Is that supposed to be like mechanical part of a brain? Split mind, as it were. Alright, so next up is A Dozen and One Adventures. We're actually going to skip over that one. I'm going to go to the secret, because the Dozen and One Adventures is... It's actually more like 25 adventures. Very, very short. There's not a whole lot of imagery. So we're going to go to Secrets of the Lamp. So, way back in the day when I was first going around collecting these books, I was able to get pretty much the entire collection of all the Al Qadim books, box sets, everything, for about $300. Except this book. I can only find, at the time, I can only find one copy of this book. It was brand new, in box, never opened, as were a few of the box sets. $400. And I said no. I will freely admit that I took this book that is no longer being printed in any way, shape, or form, is not, at the time, was not for sale in any way, shape, or form except through resellers. And I made a copy of this in its entirety for myself, for my own personal use. And the printing of said book for my own personal use of a book that is no longer purchasable was about $150 in printing costs. So that's... And I caught a lot of flack from my boss for doing so. I actually officially got written up over it, even though at the time I was off the clock when we actually did the work. But in this adventure, the characters are dragged off to at a certain point to the City of Brass, which is a major city in the realm, or in the elemental plane of fire, made and run by Ifrit. No other, and a few other fire elementals. And then the only things that are there that are not related to fire are their slaves from the prime material plane. So humans, dwarves, elves, gnomes, halflings, various other player and monster races. It's very interesting, although I would not necessarily say... I have read through this one. I would not necessarily say that this is a particularly good adventure, so much as it is a good idea for a GM to use when creating an adventure. It's got a lot of very interesting things. Ooh, I like that image. Where are we on? Page 79. So these sections that are boxed up are the sections that the GM is supposed to read to the player as they're going through the adventure. The reason I'm not a big fan of published adventures, of running published adventures, and the reason I'm not a big fan of running published adventures is because what if the players don't go to these races? That is clearly a large section of this book. What if they decide to skip out and run off? Or what if they kill one of the racers beforehand? Or, you know, there's a million things. Actually, there's infinite number of things that your players could do that are not go to the races, or go to the races and let things go as they would otherwise normally go. For all you know, or have remembered, you forever ago, before even starting this particular module, gave your characters a portal stone. It is a one-time use item that opens up a portal to anywhere that they have ever that the characters have ever been. So they're stuck here. You know, and the players are thinking, we'll go along with it until it's no longer fun. We get to this point and they're just thinking, I'm just not feeling it anymore. Portal stone, we're gonna go back to the capital, no big deal. What, you gave us this item, of course we can use it. And that's the type of stuff that I don't like pre-made modules for. What I do like pre-made modules for is Elemental Kin Earth Chrismal. Or maps. Or some NPC ideas. That is what I love modules for. And it's actually where I think they shine. Grew, huh? If you want information that is not, strictly speaking, a direct, like, if you want to take stuff out of context, pre-published adventures is the best thing you can do. Because you just buy a pre-published adventure and you just take what you want and leave the rest behind. It's that easy. In fact, it is, in my opinion, their strong suit. Someone crafted a probably very wonderfully written story. The problem is, you cannot necessarily guarantee that your players will go along with that story. Ooh, the Ruined Kingdoms. The best that you can hope for is that your characters don't go out of their way to mess it up. Which, as I've told you before, that me and the other players were immature once and specifically ruined a campaign that somebody was running. Happens a lot. I have been in, I think, 5 campaigns that have been sabotaged. Only one by me. And since I have been in other campaigns that were sabotaged, I feel really bad having done it. None of my campaigns that I've run have been sabotaged, thank goodness. But yeah, there's... Ooh, this is a good image. Look at this. What the hell is going on here? So we got some lizard men. And some sort of wizard or shaman of some variety, and some sort of like old god coming back to life sort of thing going on. I don't know what's going on in this picture, but I like it. Page 35. That's the kind of thing you can just throw in somewhere, like as a random filler page, and will work amazing. Ooh. Ooh, no, that could be good as well. That could be used as kind of an... If we cut out the rest of the people, we could very easily use this as, like, a magical weapon image. Players love it when they can see how awesome their sword looks. Well, some players. Other players, damn it, want to see it in their mind's eye. Which, I mean, makes sense, right? No artist can ever outshine your imagination, so. And at the same time, they can completely outstrip your imagination because they will have thought of something that you did not. It's kind of the whole point of art, right? Is that not everyone's mind thinks the same? Is that an angel striking someone down? Because that's what it looks like to me. And now I know I use a deva, which is kind of a good spirit, not really an angel, but I mean they're kind of they're holy servants of the gods, and they oppose demons, and they're good. They they just don't fly or cast miracles or anything like that. In fact, the one deva that I use, although she's a servant of a goddess, she can't fly. In fact, she's actually rather bad at all forms of magic, divine and wizardry. But put a weapon in her hands and it's like magic. I need to remake... Oh man, I need to remake my 2 NPCs for 5th edition. I haven't thought about that until just now. So I have 2 NPCs that are, well, diametrically opposed. I have a Deva, which is a good spirit. And then I have a Rakshasa, which is a very, very evil spirit. In fact, Rakshasas, interesting note, because it kind of fits in with the Middle Eastern theme. So a lot of Middle Eastern mythology also comes from, like, India, Pakistan, Nepal, China, like that section of the world. Like, not quite the Far East, but not exactly what we consider the Middle East either. Like, kind of like right in between there. And that's actually where Rakshasas and Devas both come from. They both come from Hindu. And essentially how it works is when a person... what is it? It's when so Devas are servants of the gods. But if they do something bad, like truly evil, when they get reincarnated, they become a Rakshasa, a demon. And they are forced to stay this evil thing until they do something so good that it outweighs all the evil that they've done in their multiple lives, including the original one that turned them into a Rakshasa. And in D&D lore, the only way to kill a Rakshasa is with a blessed crossbow bolt, which I have never given my player characters. Also, my Rakshasa is not just a Rakshasa, he's a Lich, because of course he is. Why would I make something so simple when I could make something horrifyingly difficult? Yeah, I really need to make up the rest of these maps and get them printed. Have an entire room just full of Alkadim maps. Yeah, I'm down with that. I should do that. Because right now I have the one world map that is rolled up, and then I have this map of the City of Brass that's on Foam Core. But if I did all the maps, I would not want them to be all in Foam Core because that would get really expensive extraordinarily fast. So I would just do all the maps on like nice poster paper and then get them all framed. Corsairs of the Great Sea. Also, an amazing image. Don't know how I can use it though, because there's actually a lot of complexity going on behind the Alkadim Corsairs of the Great Sea logo here, and I don't think I can recreate all that. That guy's pretty burl. I mean, if you're going to give a falchion, then you have to be pretty frickin' burl, so I guess that makes sense. She's a merchant of some variety. That's a big man. All right. Some sort of fight, probably in some sort of bazaar or trade post. Because remember, in this campaign, in this adventure module, they're all playing Corsairs, or at least running into Corsairs. And oh, is that a Marid? The Genie's Wager. Uh-oh. Toasting to someone's health. I like that one. Where are we at? Page 50... Page 58, huh? Aha, a whole bunch of possible turbines, including one that where the turbine unravels into a snake upon command. I can't remember exactly what it's called, but it's actually kind of a cool magical item. Turns into a snake that you can control. Okay, that's explaining a bunch of characters. Some sort of deal is going down in this image. That might be usable. It's also kind of muddy, so maybe not. Firethorn. That sounds horrible. Gulkin. Gulls are where we get the word ghoul from. Yeah, the Vizier's Turban. It is actually a snake. Okay, so here's Zakara and the crowded sea and everything that goes along with it. This is Karatur, which is the like East Asia thing going on. This is Mazdaca. Doesn't really exist anymore. And then this is the Forgotten Realms. In case you were wondering how big the Forgotten Realms is and why they keep on going back to that for their main D&D campaign setting, that's why. It's the size of all the rest of the realms put together. Or not realms, just areas that they've made in Faerun. Really? Only one image from that whole book? So caravans and then City of Bones, and that'll be all of it. I like this image as well. Like the demon's face coming through a sandstorm, and it's actually very Tolkien-esque, even though this is very not Tolkien. Oh, a flying carpet being put together, I think. Looks like a Mareed coming out of an oasis, or maybe... Oh god, what the hell's happening here? What? So we have a guy on a cliff who's fighting a wolf, and there's also skeletons and flaming skulls? Okay. I didn't know we were playing Castlevania right now. Ah, the different types of saddles. I think. Adversaries and allies. Okay, so possible big players that you can befriend or besmirch. A giant cobra with a princess or something being guarded by it, of course. Ooh, what's going on here? Someone going to a well. I think that's a camel? Yeah, that's definitely a camel, because that's the head. There's the... Okay. Okay, back on it. Maybe some sort of lightning demon coming after this guy who's hanging from a cliff? Maybe a genie being freed? Oh, shit, yes. What's going on here? So people riding on undead rocks, and then a giant skeleton riding on a giant two-headed undead rock using a tree as a spear? Yeah, we're getting that. I have no idea why the context for this, but that's awesome. Who needs context when you're that badass? Was that a woman eating a bug? Okay. An animated... some sort of automaton. Is that a wizard fighting a demon? A Beatazu? I don't think that's a Beatazu. What the heck are these? Interesting. Are those hints that you're supposed to hint handouts? That's kind of awesome. I'm not gonna lie. That's kind of awesome. Oh god, that is a... not a very good image of an Ifrit, in my opinion. That is a very good image of a ghoul. Of a ghoul. Wait a minute. Does this adventure have an entire, like, puzzle element to it that the players are supposed to figure out? I like the cut of your jib. Caravans. I've been toying with a similar idea. Hell, I've done a similar idea. I just straight up gave my players riddles and had them solve them without having any, like, checks or anything like that. Ooh, City of Bones. I'm gonna guess there's gonna be a lot of undead, like spirits and ghouls and skeletons, maybe even mummies. Yeah, there's some skeletons. A giant millipede. Totally rip you apart if given the opportunity. Some catacombs, nice. I don't get it. But cool. It's hieroglyphs. Or is that cuneiform? No, that's hieroglyphs. And it's probably telling the story that these pictures are supposed to be illustrating, which is like a horse running wild and free, being captured and taken, being sold to a warrior who then is now capable of running wild and free. The treasure pit. That sounds like the exact thing that players would jump into. I need you to go to the treasure pit and retrieve for me blah 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 blah. Oh yeah, we're going to the treasure pit. It's called the treasure pit. It's got to be full of treasure. I can hear the arguments about it between the players right now. That's kind of a nice little picture. Oh, this guy's a mess. Let's look at this guy. He's got boils, his fingers are all messed up, and his Fingernails are long as hell. His clothing's all tore up. He hasn't shaved or probably even bathed in quite a while. Some broken cuneiform tablets. Is that a gull carrying a whole bunch of maps and scrolls? Hell yeah, it is. Okay. This adventure is ridiculous and I love it. Oh, and I bet this is the culmination as well. Because there are some images that are definitely being carried over, and I'm pretty sure... Or like characters, or character designs at least. And I'm pretty sure what they're trying to tell here is a story that just continues from whatever the first adventure book we looked at was. The Incorruptible, or Incomparable, sorry. Very different. Imam Saib al-Banu. And he has a razor. Looks like he's shaving his head. Some nice little maps, a nice big map. So, we didn't also get... Did we get anything from this? No, we didn't get anything from that book. Oh. I guess we default took that. So, no. We got a lot of images, so we're going to go ahead and call the stream there. And what I'm going to do afterwards is I'm going to go through and save each of these images independently in their own file, so we can go through and try and figure out what ones we want to use, which ones we don't want to use, and do our editing and whatever else we need to do to make these pages usable. But before we go, I want to thank everyone for coming and hanging out. I want to give special thanks to Big Daddy P and Kasan for participating in chat. If you guys need to chat with me about anything, anytime, anywhere, or if you just want to know what's going on with the stream, please follow me on Twitter or join our Discord. The link to our Twitter is just a little bit below the page, the stream, and the link to our Discord is right there. I hope you guys will join me tomorrow, where if everything at work goes right and I'm not delayed, we will be streaming from 6 p.m. to 9 p.m. with Elder Scrolls 3 Morrowind. So, hope you'll join us for then. And hope you guys have a wonderful night, and if I don't see you, a wonderful weekend as well. Have a good one.